there's going to be three important things that you need to look at. First is going to be our methodology of fracturing, which is going to be important. It is the ideal of the white heterosexual male that is the apex of all humanity, and all other parts of humans are underneath it and must meet to this rise to the level. It's a problem. It's what creates these forms of psychic violence. It's what creates forms of psychic violence and double conscience, and it also is control of representation of other forms of community as not adequate or not up to this level, or having different roles of society other than its own, which is inherently going to be problematic, which is going to change into our next turn with the question of burning down. With coming out of when they see we articulate, the state simply cannot exist without form of liberation. It cannot exist without forms we must turn down. It is a white male apparatus that it's a white male apparatus that is inherently problematic because it only retrenches its harm and only uses these policy solutions to cover up other forms of repression and also become more insidious. They don't answer any of our arguments we make on this law about how giving people civil rights only led to the state being able to create the prison industrial complex that embodies 60% of the black male population. There's no answer to this. It's going to function as a dissent, but we'll get more on that later. And three, it's going to be a question of performance. Look, our performance method is how we solve for this round. They can't separate out the things we do. It's not just fracturing. It's not just burning down. It's just not the things that we say or the Spanish we speak. It's all of it in its totality as a whole. This is what they're going to be most important. It's going to be the most important thing today, which is going to solve back all the permanent debates up. So let's get to the permanent debate proper. First of all, on the permanent debate, look, there's no net benefit articulated out of the last research. There's no net benefit, and that means if we can prove that the negative position solves the entirety of the app, then that means that they lose because there's no net benefit articulated. And even if you don't give us that, there's going to be a few dissets. They simply don't understand. It's a question of serving out of performance. It says it's not a question, or first we told them it's a question of do both, and it's not a question of do both. It's a question of they're mutually exclusive. And I'll answer this here on top. First of all, we burn the state down. We don't lead the state until we think the state is inherently bad. We think it's we think that our form of fracturing burns the state down because the state isn't enough stuff. It's an immaterial structure to it. They say the thing the state is necessary, the state is good, the state can't change. This is part of the problem. The two methodologies are inherently contradictory to each other. You simply can't do both, even on paper or in actuality. So given this argument, also there's a dissent to the fact that they homogenize women. This is really never answered in around other than this is a really important issue, but they don't understand the particularities of the question of race, which is going to kind of link up to their evidence about them reading the episode. We'll get to that on the proper flow. And the question of silencing, because literally they say the most important problem is this, and we should all do this. But what about we give examples of other people in the military who probably experience forms of violence. They can't talk about their forms of violence because they literally say this is what my prioritize. Look, it's important said it early in the speech. Don't let them get out of it by trying to be shifty. This is what they said. It wasn't a question of it being a big issue. It was literally the most important issue that must come before all the other issues. This is why the simply sperm does not work. It is a form of severance, which is inherently bad. And even if you don't give us a certain argument, they can't articulate how both of these things work. How both of these strategies are compatible with each other. We are not in the same direction because they prioritize the state. It's going to be our most important link. They think the state can be fixed and rectified, and we have evidence and proof that is simply not true, which is going to be the dissent because the state only becomes more insidious when it's forms of violence. Let's talk about the case proper. First of all, let's talk about the question of reading narrative. Look, first of all, on the question of reading narrative, you just tokenize her experience. They say, for the most part, you only read her quotes and the impacts. You don't even highlight who she is. She is Makila Montoya, a woman who grew up in a Mexican family in East Los Angeles. Actress. So look on the floor that they only homogenize her. They commodify her for the case of the debate. You don't know who she really is. You just know that she is a woman whose sexual violence has happened to you, but you don't know anything else about her. This is what we're talking about. This is a commodification. They just put her on the floor so they can win the round. This is inherently going to be problematic. This is going to be bad. They fundamentally tokenize her. Don't ask about the question of the particularities of the other forms of identity that she has and that she embodies. This is inherently going to be problematic, which is what our argument is. It's going to fundamentally be a It's fundamentally going to be a dissent, support on psychological violence by ignoring and smoothing over the particularities of women and trying to solve for them all as a whole, even though they have particularities of bottom. This creates a form of psychological violence, double conscious. For me, they simply can't solve the most important impact around, which is that also this question of root cause argument. We are controlling the root cause. They think the root cause is a lack of equality. We have proof historically giving people equality hasn't really solved for anything and only allows the state to become insidious. Their ideal of equality is inherently problematic. Equal to what? Once again, equal to the privilege that white males have in the status quo. It is the problem of the myth of white heterosexual male as being the apex of humanity, as being what we should rise to bring other people up to in the forms of equality that is inherently going to be bad. It is only through fracturing this white state apparatus that's benign good. Is there going to be any solvency around we control the root cause? There's really no arguments to talk about this. They say we ignore structural violence. No, we think structural violence is important, but you don't understand what structural violence, like you don't understand the root cause argument. Equality is like a silly notion to think you're going to solve structural violence. We have history that proves otherwise. And look, once again, it's a question like the roll about. The roll about is a question like who you think has the best method in this round. It's who best performs liberation. Like the roll about it specifically is who best performs liberation in the round. This is the roll about that we defend. The battle means like who has the best method to meet those goals in this round. We have the best method because not only do because of the form of silence and the double consciousness they do in this round is inherently going to be problematic. But let's talk about the language argument first. They do not understand the language argument. The question of the fact that you didn't engage, the fact that you said other places on the flood that we didn't talk about sexual violence is wrong because in Spanish in his first speech, if he understood it, he would have known we talked about sexual violence in the borders places. This proves that either like his 4 years of Spanish just went to naught, or he just decided to ignore this entirety of part of our case. This is what our language argument is. It's a form of double consciousness, the second violence in this round happening here, which is why you're going to reject them. Look, plus the alternatives to everything they do. We have a control of the root cause, so only through practicing these white linear notions of history and the white state apparatus and the myth of white superiority can we have any solvency in this round. We solve double consciousness, we solve psychic violence, we solve the entirety of the app. They don't have any advocacy on this. They failed. They have this as the app.
428.